So first off, I like being able to see faces so it feels like I'm not talking into the void. So if you're okay with sharing your screen, or not sharing your screen, but taking yourself off stop video, so I can see your face, I would appreciate it. But if you're not comfortable with it, it's totally okay. I understand. And yes, get ready to take notes. I am a big fan of making sure I am giving you really practical advice that you can use immediately. And so you're going to want to take notes on it, because I do not have my slides. So this is being recorded, so you can always watch it again, but I do not share slides. So with that, let me open slides. Let me make sure you can see this. Okay, I've had issues with this before. Can you guys see my slide? Cool, good, okay. So we are talking job searching today. And first I wanna talk about finding jobs online. And right now you might be like, that's the only way to find jobs in the current situation. It's not. But we're gonna talk jobs online first. This is probably what you think of when we talk about finding jobs online. It's looking at places Indeed.com, LinkedIn on their jobs section. It's looking on Glassdoor.com, and then company web pages. I'm sure, I know, like when I was in college, I'm going to date myself, but that's right when companies started making career pages on their websites. And so I would, go to Disney.com and scroll all the way to the bottom and find the careers page and go just search that page. So I'm sure you've all seen those sorts of things before. In case you haven't heard of Indeed, Indeed is essentially Google, but just for jobs. It searches all those different company career pages for you and puts them all in one list. And right now, just with the state of things, I want to make sure you know on their location, it's always going to say like the type of job, like you're going to search the type of and the location. So normally you would put something like public relations assistant in the type of job. And then for location, you would put Los Angeles or Orange County or city. You can put in location remote. You can put it as, is this a remote position? And it will search accordingly. And then in case you don't know what Glassdoor is essentially the Yelp of companies. So it's employees and people who have interviewed at the company giving their review of what they think it's like working at the company. What did they like? What did they not like? Do they recommend working there? The interviews page of each company does oftentimes include sample questions. So if you make it to the interview stage with a company, I highly recommend going on Glassdoor and checking interviews for that company to see what kind of questions are getting asked. But with Glassdoor, I also want to point something out. It will always give the approval rating of the CEO. So when I was in college, or actually right after college, after I graduated, I got an interview at Sony Pictures, right? And Glassdoor was around at that time, or like it wasn't around at that time, but let's say it was. I would have probably gone on Glassdoor and seen what people thought of Sony Pictures in general. But when I see the approval rating of the CEO, I know for myself, I would have, like, let's say they only had a 2 out of 5. I would have gone, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm the assistant in this department, in this section of this one part of this global company. Like, who cares if the CEO has a good rating? How does that trickle down to me over here in this little department? I want you to know it matters a lot. So just know when you look on Glassdoor at companies, if the CEO has a rating of 2, that's really not a great work environment. If they have a 4.5, people are probably pretty stoked to work there. So just a little tip I like to put out there, because I think a lot of people don't think that part applies to them. Like, who cares how people in the company feel about the CEO? It really speaks volumes about what the company as a whole is like. And then there are industry specific sites. So if you want to work in the entertainment industry, there's entertainmentcareers.net. If you want to work in higher ed, there's higheredjobs.com. I don't know the industry specific sites for every industry, but I really do recommend that you just Google like psychology jobs, send. And then one of those first results that'll pop up will be the most common job board for your industry. Now, one to know with those industry specific ones, a pattern I have found is that they all tended to be made in about 2002 and never updated in the way they look. So if you go on one and it looks like, ooh, nothing on here could be new, check the dates of when the jobs were posted because they probably are current. These places, for some reason, just don't seem to care about upgrading their user design. Um, but they are really good places to look for industry specific positions. So I want you to know though, you can't just find jobs online and apply. Like if you were thinking, I'm just going to sit at home and go on Indeed and LinkedIn and just find jobs I like and hit apply, apply, apply. Or maybe you're like, no, Cassandra, I understand. I have to tailor my resume to each job description and write a cover letter and send them together. See, I'm doing better. That's good, but that's still not enough. You have to network. Okay, it's the word people don't like, but you gotta network. I want to talk about it a little bit. It's important. It is important because 70 to 80 of jobs are found through what's called the hidden job market. And that means, well, here's what hidden job market used to mean. Before the internet, hidden job market meant there were jobs that were never even posted in the like want section of the newspaper. They were just known to be open and people would know other people and say, oh, there's this position in my company, you should apply for it. And so it was hidden because no one ever saw it. Here's the bummer now is majority of companies have some sort of HR policy that they have to post jobs on their company website, which means it'll get picked up by Indeed, it'll get picked up by LinkedIn. They have to post them for about 2 weeks so that they can say, we made this position open to all. Anyone could apply. But they knew the whole time, we're going to hire that guy down the hall. Or, well, yeah, we're opening it to all, but really we'd love somebody who knows someone in the company. So we're going to take the resumes of everybody's friends that they suggest over the people online. So that's what sucks more now is that you can be applying for jobs online, never knowing that they already know they're not even going to look at the applications. So you want to be part of those people who are already known, whose resume gets passed along. That's important. So, sorry, the other thing, hold on, let me take water for a second. Water, Diet Coke, hold on. Okay, the other thing is people like to hire people they know. Now, please notice I didn't say people like to hire people they know well. They just like to hire people they know. So you don't have to be BFFs with somebody for them to want to hire you, but meeting somebody once and seeing like their energy and their look and who they are as a person is always going to be better than a piece of paper, right? So it's just a way you need a network just so that people could have met you once to kind of keep you in mind and have a better idea of who you are. And so what's called loose tie relationships are key. So if you think about it, you probably won't hire people you know really well. Like, you know your best friend so well. Would you recommend them for a job in your office or at your, you know, fast food job or at Target or wherever? You're like, oh, I know the good about her and I know the bad. Loose tie relationships are often the ones that get you the job. So a loose tie is you wouldn't hire or you wouldn't recommend your best friend, but you would recommend for a job your best friend's cousin that you just see at her birthday party every year. You know her just well enough to be like, ah, she's cool. Let's bring her along. And so same for you. You want people to go, oh yeah, he seems like a good fit. She seems like she'd be good here. They know you just well enough to put you forward for something. So it doesn't need to be a family member. It doesn't need to be your closest friend. It's somebody a little past that most of the time. So networking does not have to be a dirty word. When I was in college, I hated the word networking. I thought it sounded very much like you were using people and like you didn't earn the job for yourself. What I learned was networking gets you in the door for an interview. You still have to do well on the interview to get the job. But networking is really just relationship building. That's all it is. It is just genuinely building relationships. So it doesn't have to be. So let me put it this way. If you meet someone who works at your dream company and they're a jerk, you don't have to keep up that relationship. Like, you choose who you network with. And don't worry, we're going to talk about how to do this and how to even do this virtually. So just get you thinking of who to network with. Your friends, you guys, your friends are part of your network. Your family friends, your friends and family, people you work with are part of your network. Guest speakers in your class or student organization. Hey, congrats. I am now part of your network. You are now part of my network. People on LinkedIn. If we're not on LinkedIn, that's step number one. Go get LinkedIn. That guy you met at a party who does a job similar to what you want to do. Remember, anybody you've met before technically is part of your network. So we're going to spend some time on this page. This is the best way to build your network. It's called an informational interview. So what you do is you are going to people who work in the industry you want to work at, or maybe work in a company you'd love to work for. This could be a family friend. This could be somebody who graduated 2 years ago, who now works at that dream company you have. This could be a recruiter that you met at a career fair and you connected on LinkedIn, but you've done nothing since. That's okay. You're going to send all of these people a very polite email and just ask like, hey, I would love to talk with you more about what you do in the company. Or maybe if it's a recruiter and you don't have a recruiter, but you want to know about the company, hey, I would love to hear more about the company and the company culture. You know, it's really a dream to work there one day, and I would love to just learn more. So it's essentially a chance for you to meet with them and get information. You're not asking for a job in this. You're going to ask questions like, tell me about your day-to-day. What's the best part of your job? What's the worst part of your job? How did you start out? What advice do you have for someone starting out? It's just a chance to learn more about them. And here's the thing, you can do this virtually, right? Like you can send them an email and say, could we do a virtual coffee chat? I can send you a Zoom link. You know, I would love to chat with you. And honestly, y'all, I think you need to take this weird situation we're in to your advantage, because people are so tired of being stuck at home. They might be like me, where they live alone and they're like, I will get on a Zoom with anybody known to man. Or they might be like, I just want to talk to somebody other than my family, because that's all I've seen for 7 weeks. That they're like, sure, I will tell this person about what I do for a living. Just put me on a Zoom call with anybody else. Like, I think your odds of getting someone to say yes are greater now than they've ever been. So start by trying to think of somebody you know, and I'm going to really challenge you. And when I say no, somebody you know who works in a company or doing the type of job you want to do, I'm going to challenge you. It's very easy to right off the bat just go, I don't know anybody. Take a minute after we're done today and really think about it. Like, I have had students sit in my office and go, well, I want to work in fashion. I know nobody in fashion. Nobody works in fashion. You know, okay. And then they said, oh, well, wait, my brother's girlfriend is an intern at Burberry. Does that count? Like, yeah, that counts, right? So yeah, I think sometimes we all automatically go, no, I don't know anything. But if you take a minute, you might know somebody. And I would say even like knowing somebody who's worked in a retail store is a first step. You talk to them, and then you ask to talk to their manager, and then the buyer. Like, you work your way up the chain. So figure out who you know that could help you. But I would also use LinkedIn. So you can go on LinkedIn and find people who work at your dream companies and reach out and just say, you know, I'm a college student, I'm majoring in blah, 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 and it's a dream at whatever company one day. I'd love to connect. Then once they connect, you can send them this message and say, thank you so much for connecting. I would love to just hear more what you do. Could we have a virtual coffee? I'd love to just ask you a couple questions. And I do love to give people the out of like, I'm sure you're busy, so even 10 minutes would be great. Like, not everybody has an hour, but 10 minutes would be great. Now, notice that second line, you'll be paying for coffee. Right now, that's obviously not a thing, but just know if you do these after this, once we get to meet people in person again, if you ask somebody to coffee, be ready to pay for the coffee. Now, a lot of times you will do the song and dance where you go, they order and you go, oh no, I've got it. Go ahead, you go first and I'll take care of this. And they go, oh no, please, I will. It's fine. I'm fine. And you go, no, please, I didn't. They go, no, please, me. You go, no, please, it's fine. I asked you, take time out of your day, let me get coffee. And they go, no, it's fine. And they pull out the company card. And then you can go, oh, okay, that's fine, thank you. Like, if they're gonna use their company card, then you can let them pay. But other than that, you need to be ready to pay. So if it's not in budget, I would think through just asking people for virtual coffees. Like, that's totally fine. You can keep these up after, or really think through, who do you want to have coffee with in person, and who are you okay with it being a phone call or virtual. It is a decision that sometimes has to be made. Now, once again, I want to remind you, when you do these chats, this is informative. It is not to get a job. You're going to ask more about what they do because you need to find out if this job is really something you want to do. When I was in high school, I told everyone I wanted to be a film producer. You guys, if anybody had asked me what a film producer does, I would have been like, I don't know. I just know they work on movies, but they don't direct and they don't act. So I want that job. Like, I had no clue. I needed to meet with people and ask them questions about their day. A lot of us think we know we want to do a specific thing, but we really haven't dug into the nitty gritty of what's included in that job. So really use this opportunity to ask all your questions and find out, do I want to do this thing? Is this something that really sounds interesting to me? And then, you can decide, like, yeah, this is something I want to pursue, or, oh, it's not. And full disclosure, I've met with somebody, like, somebody introduced me to someone. They said, oh, based on what you want to do, you should have coffee with this person. I said, okay. And I met with that person. We actually did a phone call. And I said, this is what I'm really looking at. I want a job where I can do this, this, and that. And she went, oh, well, you don't really want to talk to me. You want to talk to the people in this department with this title. Oh, okay. Like, it wasn't bad. Even if it turns out, oh, that's not what you want to do. I never would have known to search for the title she was talking about had I not had that conversation. I thought that title did something totally different. So when you get that information, you're always going to gain something from it. You're either going to be encouraged, like, yes, this is what I want to do, or you're going to learn, oh, I need to go get this skill or take this class or read this book, or, yeah, I don't think this is exactly what I want. Now I want to go talk to somebody over here. But the beauty of it is you are building your network at the same time. And while you were never going to ask for a job or internship, hopefully they are going to ask you about yourself as well. And this is where we can just like drop into the conversation, oh yeah, well, I'm a communications major at Fullerton and my emphasis is in PR. And so my next step is I'm really looking for an internship. So that's kind of why I'm trying to gather information from people to see the types of places I'd love to intern. So that's kind of what's next for me. I asked for an internship, but now they know what I'm looking for, right? And so a lot of times when you say that, somebody will go, oh, well, send me your resume after this. So I just have it on hand because we have interns. Or, oh, next time intern applications come around, definitely apply, but send me your resume as well. I'll pass it on. Okay. But if you never have the coffee, they can't do that for you. And I feel like students think, oh, that feels too forward. I want you to know sometimes they're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. a lot of companies have referral programs where they get paid if they are the one who brings in the new candidate. So if you are looking for your first full-time job right now, you're a senior, you're about to graduate, and you're like, I need that first full-time job, and you know somebody at a company that you really want to work at, send them your resume. Apply online, but send them your resume too and say, hey, I saw this job, I applied online, but if you could put my resume through to HR, that'd be great. They put it through to HR and they probably get a bonus if you get hired. So just know it's in their best interest to help you, okay? I would love to say it's just out of the goodness of their heart, and I do think 90% of people love to just help other people, but no, it's gonna work for them too. And then when you have these coffees, always ask, like, based on what we've talked about, is there anyone else you think I should meet with? They will give you the name and then follow up and say, hey, you mentioned I should speak to your friend so and so. Could you please give a quick email introduction, and let them connect you to somebody else? And then you do this whole thing again. So this is how you build that network in a way that's much more authentic than I think what a lot of people believe networking entails, right? I think we all think networking is like going to an event and passing business cards around. That's not networking. That's a first step of meeting people. Building the relationship is networking. So after the virtual coffee or the in-person coffee, send a thank you note. So if right now, I would send a thank you email, obviously, but when we get back to a time people are going into their offices, you can always look up the company address on Google Maps and send them an actual handwritten thank you note to their office. What do we do with note cards? We put them up, we set them places. So then they see it repeatedly and they think of you. So you just want to send some sort of thank you to say, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I really appreciated it. One thing I really enjoyed was when you said blah, 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 or like learning this about the industry made me that much more excited. It's 3 to 5 sentences, and just, please let me know if there's any way I can be of help to you. It's basically like putting it out there, like, we're going to move this forward. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to drop them in chat. Yeah.
Hi. So quick question.
Yeah.
When you were talking about like being introduced to people or thinking about people that you could potentially have an informative interview with, so would people on social media count as well? Because I follow like some pages that have my dream career, I would say. Would it be a good idea to maybe ask them as well?
Yes. I actually need to update that on here. So I'm all about the Instagram DM. Same with like tweeting, like DMing people on Instagram tweet. Like, I know there's a phrase that goes down in the DMs. I'm not that old. I know what it means. But there are other things that go down there too. Okay. And I think what I would suggest is try and build a little bit of a conversation with them in DMs first before making the ask, because you're still kind of a stranger, right? But if they post something that was interesting to you, send them a DM about why it mattered. Not a long DM, nothing crazy, but just like a sentence, not a great post and it looks like you're a bot, right? To me, it's always, this is why I always say do this in a genuine manner. Wait for the moment where something really does interest you and talk to them about that. And then, if they reply back, if you've kind of got a rapport going, you've done this a couple times, then I think you can make the ask of like, hey, I've been following you and I really respect the company you work at. Could I by chance, could we do a chat for about 30 minutes or even 15 would be great, just so I can hear more about what you do. But does that make sense? Like, you have to build it a little bit first. This is how my friend Sean puts it this way. He's like, once I see you're normal, then it's okay, right? Like they need to know you're
That
not
you're
so crazy on
a
the
robot
internet.
or something. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
But yes, totally. Pages, uh, Instagram DMs. I mean, I don't know. The only one I'd say, well, this is just like a side note. For so long, we all focused on like, you guys need to be careful on social, be careful of what you're putting out on social, think it through. And I think a lot of people just thought about pictures. I want you to also think about the comments you're writing, even in private groups. But I will say, nobody is thinking about what they're doing on TikTok. And we all need to be a little bit more careful about what we do on TikTok. Okay. So just keep those things in mind. You don't have to be overly professional. I mean, I was on my career account yesterday and was talking about how like an Instagram ad got to me. You don't have to make it like all your business stuff all the time, but just be careful about what you're putting out there so that people want to stay in touch with you. And then once you've done one of these meetings with people, these are just some suggestions of what you can do to keep building the relationship. Like, if there's an article that comes out that you think they'd be interested in, send them the article. You can ask for advice. Like, once again, leverage being a college student. I know so many of you have papers where your professor's like, and you've got to interview somebody for this, or you need to ask a professional. Ask them for advice, or like that would be a small favor as well. Like, hey, could you do me this favor? I need a quote from someone in the industry on how COVID is affecting their business. You know, could you just give me a quick quote? Like, it's just a touch point. And then one I love is sending a holiday card. So this again is assuming that we are back in our offices. You're not going to send a holiday card to someone's house. That's creepy. They'd be like, how did they get my address, right? But if they're in an office, you can send a holiday card. Now, I, I'm Christian, but even I know, like, I'm not sending a card with the manger on the front of it, and I'm not sending a card that says Happy Hanukkah. I don't know what others believe. So I tend to send a card that, says Season's Greetings, like with a very hip looking snowman. So something that's a little bit more middle of the road. But here's the thing, people aren't sending mail anymore. So the fact that you are is going to make you stand out. And the fact that you're a college student who's doing it when their own coworkers and clients aren't doing it, they are going to be impressed by you. Like, it is such a, I think people are scared of like, oh, but won't that make me look too eager? Yeah, because that's a really bad thing. We don't want people who are eager to work for us. Like, no, that's great. You need to do it. So keep that in mind. Do those sorts of things. And then keep in touch on LinkedIn and like or congratulate them on things. LinkedIn will tell you when it's somebody's birthday. It'll even type in the words happy birthday. Go the extra mile and write their name after that. Like, just send those sorts of things. But liking, sharing, and commenting count. I want you all to really recognize that the keeping in touch parts don't have to be crazy. It is as simple as commenting on their post on LinkedIn. It is as simple as liking something. Now, one that I just always think people overlook that should be the most obvious is, if you have that coffee and they tell you, oh, you should read this book, oh, you should see this movie. I mean, it doesn't even have to be professionally related. Like, they could tell you, oh, you should read this book that's about your industry, or you guys could have gotten off talking about how you both love mystery novels, and they said, have you read this one? And you said no. Go pick up that mystery novel. Like, whatever the thing was, go watch it, do it, whatever, so that you can email them and say, hey, I did that thing. You're right. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't watched Tiger King yet. I have no desire to watch it. But if somebody I really wanted to work for see with me and they're like, oh, have you seen Tiger King? I would go, no, but note to self, crap, I gotta go home and watch Tiger King, because I want the opportunity and I don't want to lie about it. I want to authentically tell them, like, oh my gosh, you're right. I finally watched it. What about, hey, like, I would probably start with like, hey, cool Captain Kittens, and like just joke with them. Like, finding things that are interesting to both of you is never a bad thing. So whether it's something professional or something more personal, if they give a recommendation, go do the thing, read the thing, watch the thing, listen to the thing, eat the thing, whatever it is, and then tell them that you did it. Because don't we all love it when someone takes us up on our suggestion? Like, if I tell you, oh my gosh, you guys, there's this new TV show, you have to watch it, and then nobody went and watched it, I'm like, why'd I tell you? If you go, oh my gosh, I watched that TV show, and you're right, it is bonkers. Like, oh, you took my advice. It doesn't matter that it was TV. It's still like I'm still excited, right? So definitely do whatever they tell you to do and then write them back. Even if, let's say it's some book that you're like, okay, this book was a slog. It took me 2 months. I don't care if it's 2 months later. Write them 2 months later and say, hey, by the way, I finally finished that book you told me about. Wow, it was amazing. Like, that's okay, but follow up with people. And then I think I have this on the next slide. If I don't, we're going to talk about something else. Uh, oh, oh, did I just end it there? I didn't do the next. Okay, cool. We'll keep talking. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. So, couple of things. When you do these coffees and then kind of follow up with people, it can lead towards mentorship. I'm sure, especially with the program you're in, you all have heard about mentoring. And I think in college, especially, we hear about mentors as this very formalized, like, hi, will you meet with me every other Friday at lunch to impart wisdom and help me in my career? And it's like, people are busy and it feels awkward to ask somebody to do that, right? So I want you to know mentorship can be really casual. Mentors can just be those people that you go to for advice. Like, I have a friend, he's an executive producer at Jimmy Kimmel. We used to work together, or he's a supervising producer. I can't. Titles are important. He's a supervising producer at Jimmy Kimmel. We worked together at Wheel of Fortune, and he went over there. And through my time in entertainment, he was kind of my person I felt safe, like emailing and saying, hey, there's this thing that came up. What do you think I should do? Or, hey, this job came up. Do you think I should go for it? I didn't meet with him weekly. Sometimes, I mean, we've gone a year without talking, and then I'll just email him and go, hey, what's going on with you? How's life? Like, it doesn't have to be this formalized process. It's just those people you seek advice from or take their wisdom. Um, but basically, if they tell you, oh, feel free to email me if you have any other questions, take them up on it. This is a person who wants to mentor in some capacity, even if they don't want to have the official title. And Melissa, this might go with what you were talking about a little bit. There's a new phrase that I've heard often that's called a digital mentor. And these are the people who don't even know they're mentoring you. You just follow them online for their advice, right? So I don't know if anyone knows who Gary Vee is, but he's huge on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. He's huge on Twitter. He's an entrepreneur, and people refer to him as their digital mentor. He's never met them. They've never had a real coffee, but they take his advice. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, let's see if it'll switch slide. Well, no, before it switches slides. The other thing I want to bring up is I want you to go back to what I said at the very beginning. This needs to be genuine. So, genuine does not mean it's going to be comfortable the first time. Like, I will just be honest that when you first get on that Zoom or you first meet in person for coffee, it's going to be a little awkward because meeting people for the first time is awkward. Not because of social anxiety, not because of all these other things. It's just awkward to meet somebody the first time. Like, oh, hey, you kind of shift around, you try and figure each other out. But if you really hit it off, you're probably going to keep in touch with that person more. If they seem like a jerk, you don't have to talk to them again. If they seemed nice and they gave advice, but you don't need to, like, you can tell they don't want to be best friends, that's fine. You check in like once a quarter. You read something they said to read and you follow up. Like, different relationships build in different ways. And I think that's something really important to know. I have people that started off with networking that are some of my closest friends. And I have people that we've just always had a very professional relationship. And I check in like twice a year, like, hey, how are you doing? Thought of you today. Both are totally fine. Not every relationship is going to be like this. Not every relationship is going to be mentoring. Um, and they don't have to be, and that's okay. But just know if somebody is a jerk, I don't care if they are the head of your dream department at your dream company, we need to find other people to talk to. So I do want to focus on a couple other things you can do to prepare. To prepare now. You guys still join clubs and orgs, even though we are online. We do not know what the fall holds. If for some reason we are still online at the beginning of fall, I know there'll still be some version of Discover Fest. Join it. If you're a senior that's graduating, pro tip, if you haven't joined like the association that goes with your industry, like for my PR students, it's PRSA. Marketing, it's AMA. Every industry has like a professional association. Join it right now under the student membership. Student memberships are extremely cheap for these organizations, but once you graduate, you have to buy a regular membership, and it's real expensive. Like I'm talking, it'll feel expensive to you. Trust me, like it's probably still gonna be like $50, $75. You go, I don't want to spend that on this. But if you wait till after you graduate, it's like $300, or one of my associations I think is $500. Like you want to get in, this is the nice part. Do it right now because it counts for a whole year. So I just saved you like at least $200. So get in on those associations or those organizations, be they student ones or professional organizations. They often also have places for people to post about jobs. Also, you can just list it on your resume, and that's a nice little point. If we haven't done internships and we're not a senior, do some internships. I'm going to jump down to the last one. Research the companies you want to work at. More so than looking at positions, I want you to be looking for companies that really interest you. Because for a lot of jobs, you could do them anywhere. Like if you're an accountant, you can go work for a big accounting firm, or if you love sports, you can be an accountant for ESPN or the Dodgers. Like there's options. And even if like you're a psychologist, if you go, well, I want to do psychology, well, or like be a psychologist, do you want to do that in a school setting? What are the best school districts? What are the best schools? Do you want to do that in a hospital setting? Well, what kind of hospital setting? Like a public hospital, a private hospital, something that specializes in these things. Like do the research on the places you really want to work, and then hone in on meeting people at those places. But the last one I want to leave you with is, do not neglect to leverage your skills. So I talked about this before the COVID-19 thing, but it's huge now. Like I know there are companies on hiring freezes right now, and that has got to be frustrating and scary as someone about to graduate. I am not going to deny that. And I just want to validate, like, if you're a little worried right now, I totally get it. It's valid. First off, just know there are companies that are still hiring. I had 2 people yesterday tell me they got jobs, so it is still possible. But don't forget to use this time to keep building your skills. So if you want to work in social media, you can still do social media and just do it for yourself. Or you can find a friend who wants to do something else, and you're like, hey, let me build you a personal brand on Instagram, and do all their social media for them. Say, send me all your pictures, and then edit all their pictures and give them a flow and write captions. And then you have something to show, hey, this is what I can do. Go on Upwork and freelance. Go on TaskRabbit and freelance. Like if you're a great writer, you can get jobs for yourself on places like Upwork. So find ways to use your skills. I think in college, we are very much taught to look at traditional 9-to-5 jobs only. And I think we have learned in the last 7 weeks that not everything fits within the 9-to-5. And so think of other ways you can leverage skills, or maybe a skill that doesn't even have to do with what you want to do full time, but is something you could be using now. Like if you know how to dance and you could teach some kids dance classes over Zoom, yeah, there are parents who will sign up for that, right? So think about the ways that you can be, and through that you can build your communication skills, your marketing skills. Like, there's still these little sub things that go through it. So think of the ways that you can leverage your skills, even if it's not the traditional way of being paid, or even if it's not paid at all for the moment, just so that we have some great examples to give for getting hired down the road. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. Um, so that is the main points. It's okay. We won't go for it. Oh yeah, I do say though, you guys call your friends instead of texting them, please. Like, take one friend and start calling them instead of texting everything, because we're losing this skill and they're still going to make you do this at a job. So I always bring that one up. Also, these were just other things that I think, kind of like on the digital mentor thing, listen to podcasts, listen to TED Talks, follow the websites for your industry, just so you're really aware of what's going on. And yeah, you'll get weird job search advice through all of those things. But now with that, does anyone have questions?
Cassandra, as students are thinking about their questions, I'll go ahead and just kind of pop in and ask one myself. Since a lot of our students who are kind of in this meeting right now are graduating, can you touch upon maybe some resources that alumni can utilize after graduation or at the Career Center?
Yes. So you can still use all Career Center resources for 1 year. So use that to your advantage. Then I believe after that, alumni are allowed to use Titan Connection and everything that's kind of front facing on our website, but you can't make appointments with us anymore. So utilize the fact that we are still available to you, and we are here in the summer. We are all available over Zoom. Obviously, everyone's virtual, but drive-through is still going on. So if you want your resume looked over like today, you can go to drive-through, and then all your specialists are still taking appointments as well. We are having a virtual career fair, May 22nd, 1 to 4 p.m. There will be a virtual career fair. So be on the lookout for emails about that. You check your email, okay? Because we will be putting out emails about that. So we are trying to give you as many options as possible. And I think we're going to be doing a lot more programming this. We don't normally do workshops during the summer. But since a lot of us might be at home more often than normal, who knows, you guys, hopefully by July we get, go outside a little bit. That's just my hope. But we probably are still going to be home more than normal. And so we're going to do a lot more group programming. So just be checking for kind of the events moving up, because you are still allowed to use those. And since you are graduating, like, here's my big thing for you is you could be frustrated by what I just went over. Like, oh, lady, I don't have time to go do these coffees and meet with people. I just need a job and I need to apply. I will just tell you from experience, you're going to do that and not find something, and you're going to come back and meet with me in 3 months and go, oh, I couldn't find anything. What do I do now? The rules don't change. Like, in 3 months, I don't tell you to do something different than now. Start right now. If you haven't networked before today, that is okay. I want you to start today. And you don't have to find 10 people. I want you to find one person today to reach out and just say, hey, could we do a coffee chat next week? What you've done has always sounded fascinating to me, and I would just love to hear more about it. Do you have a little bit of time sometime next week? Let me know. That's it. Find one. Once you do one, you're going to feel really motivated and you'll do more. And so just know it might feel like, oh, it's going to take too long. Better to start today, hitting easy apply, and wondering why you're not hearing anything. It's because you don't know people. I didn't bring this up earlier, but that 70% stat, the way I like to do the math is, if 70% of jobs are found through the hidden job market, I want you to spend 70% of your job search meeting people, okay? And that doesn't mean all coffees. That includes the email for the coffee, the setting up the coffee, the reading the book, the emailing them about the book you read, the saying happy birthday. I want you to spend 70% of your time on that. So if you're spending 10 hours on your job search, and that's just for easy math, I'm not saying you have to spend 10 hours. If you're spending 10 hours a week on your job search, 7 of those hours should be networking and building relationships with people, and 3 should be applying online. Keep those things up, and the job will come. The job will come so much faster. So meet all the people you can, even while we're all virtual. Do you guys have no questions? Was this helpful?
Well, I had a quick comment. I don't graduate until next year, but I found the information you provided very helpful because I'm debating between 2 careers right now, and I'm kind of I like what you said about like just getting to know the person more and seeing what their job is all about and see what the pros and cons are. So I think that was really, I was kind of like, oh wow, I should probably start doing that this summer. Talking to both careers a little bit more and just seeing like what I want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's so you're gonna get it out by talking to people. So that's awesome. Also, I don't think I said this earlier. The thing I always recommend you all saying, if you're like trying to decide between jobs or it's a job, not quite sure what they do. This is controversial, but like throw school under the bus. Go, oh, I'm in school as like I'll give my example from earlier. Like, oh, I'm in school and I know I really want to be a film producer, but my school talks a lot about production, but hasn't really explained exactly what a producer on a massive film does. And so that's why I would love to just hear from someone who really does it. They are going to love that because people love to be like, oh, you're right. School does anything. Let me tell you the real deal. Like, it's just a thing. It doesn't mean that school actually isn't teaching anything. I want to make that clear. We are. But using the they just haven't told me. Like, another example would be in school, we talk about public relations and we talk about advertising. There's not a promotions major, but in lots of companies, there's a promotions department. So that's another one where you can go, we talk about public relations and advertising, but no one ever specifically promotions is. And that's why I'd love to talk to you. School hasn't taught me that. They will eat it up. So just leverage school in every way possible. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any final questions? Seems like y'all are good.
It seems like it. Well, I just want to say thank you once again, Cassandra, for joining us, for giving your time to speak to our students. I know I learned a lot, and I can imagine that some of our other students also learned a lot, especially from what folks have been sharing. So we appreciate your time, and I'm going to stop recording now.